What's up, guys? Welcome back to King Kraken Sports. Mike here, and you can't ever say I don't listen to my audience because this is actually an idea for a series I got from one of you guys on the channel update about a week ago, and that was to take individual players and break them down in one video. And I think a good place to start is with one of the more polarizing prospects in this year's draft, Michigan defensive lineman Rashan Gary. Now, I didn't say defensive tackle, I didn't say edge defender, because that's where I think part of this starts, is that no one's exactly sure what he is. Now, if you look at his size, the draftnetwork.com, which is pretty good in terms of having sizes and everything, more or less spot on, has him at 6'4", 281. Now, 6'4", generally you're looking at a bigger defensive tackle in terms of height, or a shorter defensive end. The 281, I mean, he puts on 10 pounds, he's a defensive tackle. He loses 10 pounds, he's an edge defender. It's really, really close either way. But the reason I chose Rashan Gary is because some people have him as like one of the top 3, 4, 5 players in this class, and others have him as like a fringe round 1 guy. So I think that was a good place to start. Also, I seem to be somewhere in the middle. I'm not quite sold that he's one of the best players, but I also think that he's a little bit more valuable than most give him credit for. So let's get into the pros and cons. Again, pros, this dude is a freak athlete. He's, like I said, 280 pounds, an athletic freak. I guarantee you he's probably going to be running somewhere in around that 4.6, 4.7 range. Like, he's that level athlete. Strong as an ox, 3-year starter, started as a true freshman. And, I mean, he's a great leader, too. If you watch the Michigan All or Nothing? Was that what that series was called? When they did like the Amazon series with them, he was like, as a sophomore, telling guys like Maurice Hurst what to do. He's like basically like like an extra coach. He's great football IQ, great football intelligence from what they showed in that. But the main knock on him is his production, and like, he never really broke out, per se. His best season was actually as a sophomore. I've got it up in front of me. 13 games, 58 tackles, 11.5 for a loss, and 5.5 sacks. That's pretty damn good for a tweener defensive lineman in his sophomore year. That's a 19-year-old doing that. The issue came this year mostly. In that he was hurt. He injured his shoulder, he missed some games, and he never really got back into a flow. He ended up finishing the year with 6.5 tackles for loss and 3.5 sacks, so he did take a dip in production, but he played 4 less games. But, I mean, on tape, you're not going to find any one game where he just dominated and took over the game. It's very consistent throughout without being flashy. I think that the top 5 talk for him is maybe a little extreme. I have him as my 10th overall player. So given the fact that I've got like 19 or 21, something like that, first round grades, that's realistically a mid-first rounder. So do I think that he's going to be like in talks when like the Raiders are on the board? No. But when a team in like, the Packers, let's say, that's not exactly a great fit, but you know what I mean, in that like 13, 14 range, if they're on the board, Cincinnati at 11, those are teams I could see maybe biting a bit more on Rashan Gary. The Atlanta Falcons just seem to make so much sense for Rashan Gary. He would fit that scheme so well. I think that his best role in the NFL is as an interior pass rusher. So that would put him more as a defensive tackle, per se, than a defensive end or an edge. I don't think that, for me, when I say that you're an edge, that means that you can fit both a 4-3 defensive end and a 3-4 outside linebacker position. If you can't fit both, and you fit as a 4-3 defensive end or a 3-4 defensive end, I basically just put you as a DL, defensive lineman, which is anything that's not an edge. I think he's just undeveloped. I think that it's a lot of the same things we've seen over the past couple of years with Michigan on defense. There's not a lot of coaching, per se, done. Jabril Peppers was another example of this. Jabril Peppers, from his senior year of high school, till his rookie year in the NFL, was not coached. And it was more just, we need you out there. And just go do something. And we'll find a spot for you. That's why Jabril Peppers was playing linebacker at 200 pounds. I think that for the most part, given the defense that Michigan runs, Rashan Gary was playing out of position. He should have been kicked inside instead of playing out on the edge, where his lack of speed to power and his lack of bend definitely played to his disadvantage. But on the inside, when he's in a phone booth type area instead of out wide, he can control the game a lot better. Now, I mean, Michigan is not exactly to blame here either. They're trying to win college football games. They don't give a fuck about developing guys for the NFL draft. They want to win college football games. It's not Jim Harbaugh and his staff's job to make someone more desirable for the NFL. They just want to fucking win. And if that means that Rashan Gary has to play out on the edge for them to win games, that's what they'll do. I think that with this draft season coming up, and we've got the Combine, the Pro Day, Rashan Gary really needs to check all these boxes going forward to make sure that he can be in that top 10 area instead of late day 1, early day 2. I think all the potential is there. I think it's a very similar case in a way to Ed Oliver, in that these guys were dominant in high school, received very little coaching in college, and they're just as dominant as they were when they stepped in, but they haven't really gotten any better. And, have we seen the best of these guys? I don't think so. I would hope not. I would hope you don't, peak as a, sophomore in college or a freshman in college. I think it's there. I think he needs to go to the right system. Like I said, I think Atlanta could get a lot out of him. Or, if you want to, if he falls past Atlanta, San Diego runs that same defense because Dan Quinn, Gus Bradley, they run that Seattle-style defense. The Cowboys, if he falls even further, because Chris Richard is going to run that same defense. There are very specific defenses that he fits, and there are certain ones he doesn't. Do not draft him if you're running a 3-4, because he's not going to play as a 3-4 D end. He needs to be in a 4-3 defensive tackle or on the inside of a 4-3 defensive end inside the right tackle or the left tackle. That's where he can best be utilized. I get both sides of the argument, and that's why I wanted to start with Rashan Gary. Because, like I said, I've got him 10th. It's really on Rashan at this point. The Combine's coming up. He's got to prove that he's that freak athlete, and he's also got to show out in the position drills. Like I said, the tape is consistent, but there's nothing flashy about it. He's just all-around consistent. That's up to the NFL to decide where he goes. Let me know what you guys think. The next one I was thinking of doing about this was Benny Snell, the running back out of Kentucky. Leave your suggestions for who I should do a dive into and break down individually down below. And until then, I will see you guys next time.